Hello everyone. Welcome to Book Club Preview Writing Edition. Today we're finishing Unit 6, going from pages 113 all the way to 120. So first off, we start with writing sentences with simple adjective clauses. This is something we looked at last week, writing a sentence and then having an adjective clause. And let me flip over here to that page, sorry. An adjective clause is going to start something with a word like that, or which, or who. You can also use them in other ways, but those are the most common. And in our book, we had some examples. Gumbo is a thick soup, period. Right? That's a sentence in itself. But instead of having that period, we're going to continue the sentence with a word that's a relative pronoun. And then we continue into the sentence, contains seafood or meat. So for activity 7, look at these definitions: turtle, co-pilot, skunk, all these different words. You are going to write a definition with an adjective clause. So we can see example number 1. Turtle. A turtle is a slow-moving, four-legged animal, period. That's a sentence. Adjective clause, that goes inside its shell when there is danger. Okay? After you write your definition, underline your adjective clause. I'll give you a hint. If you're doing it on easy mode, that or which, or was that, which, and who are some common triggers. And if you use those 3, underline that to the period, and that will be your clause. Okay, so you have 10 different words that you need to define. From that, we go into our writer's note, combining sentences. Now, I'm going to spend a little time on this because this is really important topic, and I'm going to challenge you to actually do the opposite of this activity. So the first thing is, when we're writing sentences, if we use a variety of the way that we're writing those sentences, it makes it more interesting and smoother for our readers. So the book gives an example here of connecting words. And we use this acronym called FANBOYS to remind us of those connecting words. And those are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Oh, I was trying to remember them all without looking at the book. Just looking at the acronym. Okay? And FANBOYS, those combining words, help us to make our sentences a little bit more dynamic. And we have an example here, simple sentence. I studied math for 5 hours last night. Period. Perfect. No problem. I failed the test. Okay, perfect sentence. No problem. But now we're going to add in one of these FANBOYS, one of these combining words. And it says, I studied math for 5 hours last night, but no, I failed the test. Okay? Very simple, very basic. Okay? You already know a lot of this. What I'm going to challenge you to actually do the opposite. But before that, I want to look into some other things. Okay? Another way that we can add variety to our sentences is by providing adjectives. Adjectives are words describing nouns. And so we have here, the manager rejected the schedule. Okay, no problem. Great sentence. The current business manager, that's describing the manager, rejected Mark's revised schedule. Mark's and revised are adjectives describing schedule. Okay? And then, of course, we have adjective clauses, which we just studied. We already understand. We've just practiced writing them out. We can add adjective clauses. The students, I'm just going to go to the variation. The students who are in charge of the planning committee, who is our adjective clause, liked the suggestion that Mark made. There are actually two in there. Wow, that's a very complex sentence. Yours doesn't have to be that complex, but there's two examples of an adjective clause in a sentence. Adverbs. An adverb is a word describing an action, usually ending with ly. So we have here the variation. Next, the woman carefully picked up the chainsaw. They actually added in the word next in there to also give it some flavor. We have adverb clauses, okay, very similar to adjective clauses, and I'm sure we'll have a lesson where we study that a little bit more in depth, but just here simply the variation. He asked her to sit down. Before the doctor told the woman the news, comma, he asked her to sit down. Okay? And all of this is describing the action of him asking her to sit down. Prepositional phrases. In, on, by, under, location kind of phrases. Okay? I did all the homework. Great sentence. I did all the homework on my computer. On, prepositional, and then phrase. And in, preposition, and then the phrase, about 3 hours. So we have two examples there, even in that one sentence. The prepositional phrases help add variety to our paragraphs. So the last part of this writer's note is to compare these last two paragraphs. Okay, the first one, simple sentences, bop, 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 is very choppy. But I want to read the second one to you out loud. Well, yeah, I don't think I have time to do both. Wow, 17 sentences in the first paragraph and only 4 in the second one. I was walking in front of the bank on Stern Street. Suddenly, I heard a loud, violent bang, and the front door of the bank opened. A tall, very thin man with wavy brown hair hurriedly left the bank. In his right hand, he had a shiny, silvery gun. Read the first paragraph, and then maybe go back and listen to the second paragraph again. How smooth and how easily the second paragraph flows. It's much easier to read, and it just kind of carries you along into the paragraph. And you want to read the next one probably. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we're meeting face to face, but just compare those two sentences, those two paragraphs, and see the difference. Now, what I'm actually going to challenge you to do, and this is going to be for our paragraph for this unit, is I want you to practice writing simple sentences. Our writing is advanced enough to where we are combining sentences and making them more varied and complex. No problem. Our problem is that when we do that, we lose the grammar integrity, right? Suddenly the sentence becomes unclear because our grammar gets lost. So what I'm actually going to challenge you to do this week for your paragraph is to write it only using simple sentences, okay? So you're probably going to need to write about 14 simple sentences. Then, when we do our peer editing, the person that's going to peer edit your paragraph is going to take your sentences and try to combine them into more complex, varied sentences. And then we'll see if that maybe helps our grammar. But we're going to start off with writing simple sentences first, which could be challenging for our mature minds. Let's go on to the next page. Activity 8, practicing combining sentences. Now, first read the paragraph, okay, and then there's a huge blank. Now, if you look right underneath the vocabulary, you can see just in a very it's not even in a box or anything. It took me a while to find out where these sentences are. But they're right in between the paragraph, the example paragraphs. The first one says, we can see patience in a person. The person is waiting. The person is at the street corner. It is beginning to drizzle. Okay? And that's right underneath the vocabulary. It took me a while to find out where are these sentences that we're supposed to combine. Those 4 sentences about patience, you need to combine them into one sentence and then write that sentence in the blank. And we might have a chance to compare our different sentences. And that's the same for example paragraph 46, 47, and 48. After that, we have building better sentences, which you guys already know. Word associations, link and match. Circle, the most accurate one. And then collocations is fill in the blank, or you could just circle whatever your word works best if you wanted to. And then, of course, we have write a definition paragraph. Now, this is so... if you don't have time to finish it by the time we meet, that's okay. But I want you to finish it within the next day or two after, because the person who's going to proofread your paragraph, remember, they're going to have to combine your sentences into complex, varied sentences. So please give them a few days to do that before we just talk about it all together next week. Now, for the topics of the paragraph, you could pick your own topic, and that's activity 11. Choose your own topic about a definition. Sure, whatever you want, you can look at that. But if you want some ideas, that's where page 120 looks, where page 120 is helpful. We have 5 different topics. Choose an emotion, define it. Choose a scientific or medical term, define it. Why is it important? Look at the word censorship. What does it mean? What's it about? How does it work? Look at some words borrowed from other languages. So in English, coup d'etat, siesta, sushi, those are, there we go, number 4. Those are all words from other languages that we use in English. Karaoke is another one. And then the last topic it gives, topic 5, is about freedom. Define it. What's it mean to you? Nowadays, we have all sorts of crazy stuff going on in our society with COVID-19. Government getting information about us to help manage other people maybe getting infected. All this different stuff. But there could be some specific things in our current day and age that you could maybe define. In America, it's a voting year. So maybe you want to define vote. What does that mean? And really get into the importance of it. Or it could be about freedom, right? That was in our book. But about like the government tracking your data to see if you were near someone that had COVID, or maybe you did have COVID, and then they want to know where you've been, right? All of this stuff. Where is privacy? That could be a word you define. So you can be quite flexible and free with this topic. But remember, when you write your paragraph, simple sentences, okay? It's going to be your peer's job to combine your sentences to make an even more complex and easier flowing paragraph. Which, man, that sounds tough. Writing simple sentences sounds pretty tough. The dog is red. The dog is running. The dog licks the boy. Right? You just beep, 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 beep. Imagine writing like a children's story, or explaining something to a really young kid, like 3 or 4 years old, and you're just using simple sentences. And that might help you out. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I can't wait to see you, and I'm sure I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Hey, if you have any questions about the video today, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section.
If you had any other vocabulary words that you wanted to know what they meant, let me know. And also, if you're interested in maybe joining one of these book clubs, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.